Well, it's my pleasure to introduce our president of the Western Surgical. You have some slides. Great. Let's see. There we go. All right. Thank you. So I'm Mary Hahn. I'm the vice president and really have the best job at this meeting to introduce our president, Dr. Brasel. So Dr. Brasel is a native of Iowa. She was born in Cedar Falls, correct? And then went to college at the University of Minnesota, back to Iowa for medical school, back to Minnesota for her surgical residency, and where she also got her master's in public health. And then she went to University of North Carolina for her trauma critical care fellowship and was recruited to Medical College of Wisconsin, where she really rose to the ranks and established herself as an outstanding researcher and educator. And then she was recruited to University of Oregon, or Oregon Health Sciences University, where she is now as the program director for surgery, the vice chair for education and professional development, and assistant dean for graduate medical education. Dr. Brasel's CV has more than 75 pages with greater than 300 peer-reviewed publications, 200 invited national and international lectures, and greater than 40 book chapters. This woman does not sleep. So she is also a national leader in so many of our important surgical organizations, including the Association for Academic Surgery, the Association of Program Directors, the American Association for Surgery of Trauma, the American College of Surgeons, American Board of Surgery, and the American Surgical Association, all with major leadership at the executive level or higher in these organizations. And of course, she's the current president of the Western Surgical Association. So that's Dr. Brasel, but there are a few things about her you may not know. And I love it when you reach out to family and they send you like a PowerPoint slide deck. So thank you, Nancy. Her sister, Nancy, helped with this presentation, and I'm deeply indebted to be able to share some of these things with you. So Dr. Brasel, here she is with her younger sister, Nancy, and their cat, Tinkerbell. Karen is a huge cat fan. And she's also a gifted musician and performer. Here she is as Marta, the second youngest Van Trapp, but she's a Renaissance lady. And here she is in the high school madrigal. I was like, is that really Karen? I didn't see it quite so much there, but beautiful. And now I'm looking forward to hearing you sing someday. She's a sports fanatic. She knows the rules and regulations of every game. And when she was in third grade, she had to correct the boys that the rules of an inbound catch was 2 feet. And college football and pro football required 1. That's what the boys thought, but she corrected them. And according to Nancy, she was right. They were wrong. They were not happy. It's a pattern. I don't know if any of you have debated Dr. Brasel before, or maybe, wanted to have a discussion with her. And then another significant thing about Karen is her partner, Steve. I think we've all really I've really enjoyed getting to know Steve over the years. And they met when they were very young. Their moms were best friends. And this was a family camping trip that the two went on together. Steve is in the red on one side, Karen's in the green on the other side. And they put all those kids in between them to try and keep them apart. So Steve, in addition to his many talents as an IT specialist and snowboarder, he's also CS&L, the Chief Security and Logistics Officer for Dr. Karen Brasel. So Karen has 19 nieces and nephews. She's a super aunt. She spends enormous time with them, playing with them. Here they are in a pajama party. But you kind of wonder, are they really just props for her workouts here? And she, in her competitive spirit, schools them all and the rules of bananagrams and Scrabble and other games that she plays with them and beats them at religiously. She takes them skiing when she's in meetings. And there's some question about maybe what happened out there on the slopes. It's we saw her taking care of this injured extremity. Actually, I think they were just playing dress up here. So Karen's an amazing runner, as any of us who've ever tried to run with her. Don't try unless you are a professional runner yourself. Here she is running it with many colleagues and friends at surgical societies. And you see John Hunter in a couple of these, and he was probably trying to chase her down to recruit her to Oregon, and was ultimately successful. But look at Karen there in the middle. She's like, I won. I think we could all say that maybe Karen punches above her height class. Here she is with Joe Beiske and Mary Klingesmith and Edinburgh. And notice how Karen's kind of standing on her tippy toes, you know, trying to be a little higher among these two very tall female surgeons. So they finally got the hint and and let Karen win and be the tallest in their photo here. So it's really been my pleasure to share a little information with you about our president, Dr. Karen Brasel, and look forward to her presidential address.
Thank you, Mary, for that introduction. It's always fun to be introduced by a friend. It is truly an honor to be standing here. I've been attending and speaking at the Western Surgical since I was a resident a very, very long time ago. I was given some early opportunities to serve and lead in this organization. I've developed truly great friendships with many of you here. And for those reasons, it is really meaningful to have served as your president this last year. I have no disclosures, but I do have many, many thanks to give to the people who have shaped my personal and professional life. As you all know, one of the reasons that the Western is so meaningful and that we come and really enjoy being able to be in person is because of the people and the friendships. For me, some who I've met through the Western, I get to enjoy seeing here, as well as at other times and other meetings during the year. And some that I initially met elsewhere that I get to reconnect with here and other places during the year. To those who are pictured here, as well as so many others, great thanks for your friendship, mentorship, sponsorship, and support. I would also like to thank the Western Surgical Council. This is an extremely talented group of people, and the organization is in great hands. The conversations and ideas that kept flowing during our council meeting yesterday really make me excited about the future of this organization. It is no accident that this council is visibly different than the council that existed when I first joined, and I'm proud to be a part of that change. I would also like to thank my home team, both my clinical partners, as well as my educational team. What we do is not easy, but is better because we do it together. On the personal front, I'm going to start by thanking my parents. On the left, my mom, Carol, and my stepdad, Greg, with Steve. I have absolutely no idea what he's doing, as is usually the case. And on the right, my dad, Jim, and my stepmom, Marge. They taught me and gave me the importance of education and remain among my biggest supporters. My sister and best friend, Nancy, or at least she was before she gave Mary all of those slides, who along with her husband, Todd, and daughter, Jules, have made time out of their insanely busy schedules to be here this weekend. Nancy, Todd, and Jules, thank you. I am blessed to be part of the lives of 20. There's an ongoing joke in the family about whether it is 19 or 20. Sometimes we count the twins as one person, and sometimes we count the twins as two, of the most intelligent, kindest, talented, and fun young men and women who are the children of my siblings. I absolutely love being an aunt and am so appreciative of the ongoing relationships that we have now that you are adults. Particular thanks to Jules and Kelly, who are here today. You've heard a little about Steve. it may have taken us a bit of time, okay, maybe a long time to figure things out, but life is so much better since we did. I know that I'm not easy to live with, and thank you for so much for making it possible to do what I do. I love you. So now to tell you about sporks. And yes, I don't mean sports. I do mean sporks, the two-ended utensil that is used both as a spoon and a fork. At one point in our lives, my mom, my sister, and I played a fair amount of Scrabble over dinner. Looking back, I actually think it was Mom's way of trying to get us, who wanted nothing better to do than spend time with our friends, to spend a little more time with her at the dinner table. Fast forward to more recent times, and those Scrabble games, as we now all live in different cities, transformed digitally into words with friends. Looking at us, it may not be evident, but we are fiercely competitive. And so when my mother lost a game because the dictionary used by the online Words with Friends did not recognize the word spork, that did not go over well with her. Because clearly sporks exist, and I now get texts of pictures of every spork that she finds in the wild. So the word and the item spork have taken on an outsized meaning for the three of us, and I learned recently that that classifies it as a familect, or making meanings and creating family by words or phrases with meanings that have different or general understandings just within that family group. Meanings that you will not find within a dictionary, if indeed you can even find that word in the dictionary. I imagine many of you have similar words or phrases, and I thank my niece Kelly, there in the middle, for continuing to develop new meanings and create new experiences for our family word. But I am not just here to tell you about my family and our obsession with words and games, although I could. About 3 years ago, this came across my Med Twitter feed. Whatever you do, don't be a spork. The context was advice on how to become a successful academic surgeon, and it was on a very successful academic surgeon's Twitter feed. This caused a visceral reaction for me. First, it was a validation of our familect word, so more proof that sporks actually do exist. My second reaction, however, was a little less celebratory. Here was a very well-respected academic surgeon giving advice to students and residents that the path I have traveled and continue to travel was not one that was likely to lead to success. For I consider myself a spork, a true generalist. I do some research. I've had some significant funding in a variety of areas. I teach. I have had multiple administrative roles. I operate on many different parts of the body, care for patients who are critically ill for a variety of underlying reasons. It caused me to reflect on whether I actually was truly successful, and if so, whether I could honestly give advice based on what had gotten me to where I am. As a part of my reflection, I turn, not surprisingly for those who know me, to the world of sports. Here you will see Craig Counsell. He was, in his day, an extremely good second baseman. Early in his career, he played that position, later became a utility infielder and is ranked as one of the top 10 utility infielders of all time. He was also, during the time he was playing, one of the top 10 smartest baseball players. And it is likely the combination of those two things that led him to his current managerial position for his hometown Milwaukee Brewers. He is the longest tenured manager in the National League. He has twice been the runner-up for the Manager of the Year. He has won 2 World Series and was the most valuable player in one of those World Series, a utility infielder. This is Damian Warner, the 2020 Olympic decathlon gold medalist, and as such, the reigning greatest athlete in the world. Decathletes are not the fastest. They're not the strongest. They can't jump the highest or the farthest, but they do all of these things at an extraordinarily high level. And they're stronger than the fastest. They're faster than the strongest and can jump higher and farther than both the strongest and the fastest. And this is Taysom Hill of the New Orleans Saints. He actually doesn't have a position that he plays. He plays multiple positions. He plays quarterback, he plays wide receiver, he plays tight end, he plays running back. They have an entire playbook written for Taysom Hill, and he makes $10 million a year. If you're not a sports enthusiast, here are a few more examples of generalists. The woman on the left, one of my best friends from high school, is a public elementary school principal. She can teach any subject. She's responsible for faculty development, standing in for parents of children in need. Truly a generalist. Judges are considered the generalists of the law profession. They must know criminal law, civil law, tax law, employment law, environmental law, and I'm probably forgetting a few things there. Raccoons are the generalists of the animal kingdom. They can live anywhere and they can eat anything. And the Swiss Army knife, one tool that can be used for anything and everything, similar to a spork. And we can't forget the general surgeon. There are many in the audience who can speak more eloquently than I can to the expertise of and need for general surgeons, but it is very clear that they are the backbone of surgical care in this country. How many of you have heard the phrase, a jack of all trades is a master of none? Often used in a pejorative manner, similar to that tweet about sporks. How many of you knew that that's only the first part of the phrase? It goes on to say, but oftentimes better than the master of one. In the theater, a jack of all trades was one who hung around the theater, helped with the costumes, helped with the stage, helped with the sets, helped with the lines, and tried their hand at directing. Exemplified by one of the most prolific playwrights of all, William Shakespeare. If we turn to business, being a generalist helps with understanding your own strengths and weaknesses, as well as the strengths and weaknesses in different areas of an organization. Generalists are more flexible. As team members, they more naturally understand the perspectives of others and can help an organization adapt to different people and different perspectives. When they move from one area of an organization to another, or from one organization to another, they are able to bring what they have learned. From David Epstein's book, Range, generalists are more likely to survive in unpredictable environments, some of which are going on currently, where conventional thinking and rules are not applicable. The multifunctional nature of generalists, along with their agility, flexibility, and creativity, make them much more likely to not only survive, but to thrive. The work of Nagel and Theodoros tells us that generalists engage first with new knowledge and are likely to have more impact in spreading this knowledge than specialists. And again, from David Epstein, breakthroughs happen at the interface between specialties, areas in which generalists are both more likely to find themselves and are more likely to be equipped to best function. They're able to use cross-functional thinking to their advantage. In business, generalists are sought due to their knowledge and understanding of all aspects of an organization. Generalists and CEOs actually command a premium salary, and that premium rises when the organization is facing greater and greater uncertainty, such as mergers and acquisitions, restructuring, or market shock. There is no doubt that healthcare today is a team sport, whether it is in interprofessional teams to take care of individual patients, institutes that bring many related groups together to provide disease-based care, or research teams that have a variety of team members with different areas of expertise. So how do teams function with generalists and specialists? This experiment, reported in Organization Science, provides a fascinating look at the incorporation of new team members and new knowledge into an established team. Dr. Fahrenkopf and colleagues tested how specialists and generalists joining a new team influence the performance of that team. Their experiment focused on how a newly joined individual, either a specialist or a generalist, with advanced knowledge, helped a team perform better. The participants in the experiment were not aware of the fact that the new member knew a more efficient way of doing things, nor were they aware of whether that member was a specialist or a generalist. It was up to the new member to show their value and to show how that new knowledge was able to persuade the existing members to adopt the new knowledge and the new process. Overall, teams that received a generalist as a new member significantly outperformed those who received a specialist as a new member. So why did this happen? The participants didn't know any different. It is likely because the specialists are considered task experts and are less able to transfer their knowledge compared with the generalists. Teams with a new generalist member were more likely to adapt the advanced process, where the new specialists found it difficult to transfer knowledge as they were the expert just on the task rather than the transfer process, and rather than understanding the perspectives of all of the team members. It is not that specialists don't have value. When collaboration of different disciplines is crucial, generalists perform better, as they have knowledge or expertise in all aspects of the work. By contrast, if tasks are based on multiple independent components, specialists may perform better than generalists. In areas where depth and not breadth is valued, a specialist clearly has the advantage. For a complex operation, a liver transplant, an esophagectomy, endovascular repair, you want a well-trained specialist. And grants are given mostly to specialists. It is the emphasis on grants and research productivity, which do go primarily to specialists. In discussing academic medicine and when surgical leaders are recruited, that I think most deserves a bit of attention and perhaps rebalance in favor of the sport. The surgeon scientists, their research productivity, and their grant funding are absolutely foundational to academic surgery. That fact and mission do not change by recognizing the worth of the generalist. It is my opinion that we can learn something from the business world by recruiting for generalists into academic medicine at all levels, and particularly leadership, or at the very least, valuing and rewarding the characteristics that they embody. It is also important to recognize that rebalancing does not mean taking away from one. My focus is on adding to the other. I'd like to return to Dr. Fahrenkopf's experiment and highlight that the actual advanced knowledge was held both by the generalist and by the specialist. The perception about task expertise in many cases may be just that, a perception. I will also highlight some incredibly accomplished generalists who had very advanced specialist expertise. We've already talked about Shakespeare. Benjamin Franklin is another. In 1727, Benjamin Franklin, at the age of 21, created the Junto, a group of like-minded aspiring artisans and tradesmen who hoped to improve themselves while they improved their community. Da Vinci, and our own immediate past president, Lee Neumeier, who provides expert care for patients with breast cancer, teaches ATLS, takes trauma call, attends in the ICU, and chairs an academic department of surgery. They are accomplished generalists with specialized expertise. Don't get me wrong, I want to eat my spaghetti with a fork and my soup with a spoon. But the characteristic of a generalist that make them very agile learners, earlier engagers with new knowledge, knowledge transfer agents, team members, very importantly, make them team and organizational leaders, particularly in these very uncertain times in both healthcare and society. It is not only possible to be a spork and a successful academic surgeon, but I would argue that more of them, or at least the characteristics that they display, may well be just what academic surgery needs. However, sporks seem to be a little difficult to find lately. Thank you for your attention, and again, for the privilege of serving as your president this past year. Yeah. Got a couple of things here for you.
What a fantastic and inspiring talk. I think, especially for all of our trainees and young faculty in the room to hear a message of just the many paths to success in academic surgery is, I think, really inspiring. So congratulations, well done. We have for you a clock here to commemorate your time as president. And the much coveted presidential pin.
Thank you.
Congratulations again. Yep.